Good evening, everyone. It is 6 p.m., so I think we are going to start. I know we don't have a full crowd tonight, but that's okay. We're starting anyways in the interest of everyone's time and attention. So I want to thank everyone for joining us for this evening. I feel like this mic's a little high. Maybe they think I'm Jason Nixon. Anyways, thanks everyone for joining us for this evening's discussion on important municipal topics and for electors of the town to gather information on the 2025 Council candidate platforms for the next 4-year term of council. My name is Stacey Stilling, and I am honored to be your moderator this evening. Tonight, we have 8 candidates vying for 6 council positions. Mayor Richard Warnock was acclaimed and therefore will not be required to participate in this forum. Mayor Warnock, where are you? Over there. Our sincere congratulations to you on your acclamation, Mayor. Yeah. Your passion and dedication to do your best for the town has not gone unnoticed nor unappreciated. But tonight our goal is to give all of you as electors, whether you are in person or online, the opportunity to get some information and insight into these 8 candidates who have put their names forward to do the very best that they can for the town of Sundre. So we'll talk a little bit about asking and submitting questions. We will not be taking questions from the floor. If you have a question for the candidates, please visit one of the writing tables. There are pens and papers there. Please document your questions. Place your questions in the containers that are on the tables, and those containers will be taken over here to my left with the question vetters. We anticipate we may have several questions to go through tonight because we have 3 hours. We ask you to keep your questions centered on topics related to municipal operations, avoiding personal arguments or irrelevant tangents. Please ensure that your questions are courteous and respectful, as we will not ask anything offensive or targeted. I think we can all agree that everyone here wants the very best for the town of Sundre, and let's keep it in that spirit. If a similar question has already been asked, it will not be repeated. We have 3 question vetters this evening to ensure candidates are respected, and we have some good balance of questions to give you the best information. They are Terry Leslie, Mike Bukaboom, and Alan Terranozzi, all electors of the town. We'll get through as many questions as we can, but depending on time, we may not get through all of them. This session will conclude at 9 p.m. If your question is not asked or you would like further follow-up, we encourage you to reach out to your individual candidates that you would like to speak to before October 19th. So an outline of the evening. Each candidate will have 2 minutes to introduce themselves and their platforms. Once introductions are complete, I will ask the questions submitted by the electors of Sundre. Each candidate will be provided with 1 minute to answer that question. Candidates will be provided with a 10-second warning. Can we hold up that sign so that... with a 10-second warning that they need to wrap up their response. Candidates, we respectfully ask, when your minute is up, please stop speaking and put the mic down. All candidates will answer the same question. Once the question period ends, each candidate will also be provided 1 minute for a brief wrap-up and final comments. Again, we have allocated up to 3 hours for this forum. We will take a 10-minute break at 7:15 and 8:15. You folks can come in. It's okay. We do have a timer at the back. Chelsea's back here timing. But without further ado, I think we're going to move on now to our candidates' introductions so that they can share their platforms. These individuals have been seated in alphabetical order. Each candidate will have an opportunity to answer a question first and last. So what is going to happen is candidate Connie will start, and we'll go through that question with all of the candidates. The next question, candidate Jackie will start, and we will go through that question. So they will all have the opportunity, again, to be first and last. Okay? So, without any further ado, candidate Connie, can we call on you to talk about your introduction and platform, please?
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming out. My wife and I moved here in 1990, and we brought our 5 kids with us. Our family has expanded some since then. We now have 6 grandkids and 2 great-grandkids. I own a business here in town, and I have a house here in town, so taxes are front and center with me also. I umpire ball, I support the rodeo, I'm involved with hockey drastically. I played, coached, refereed, and now I'm chairman of the discipline committee for Hockey Alberta. The Main Street project, when we did it last year in 2024, came in under budget, which was great to see. And then this year, the Alberta government came in and finished the Main Street, and it looked really good. I think it's great. The water savings that we got from putting the new water lines in under Main Street and north to the bridge on Center Street have saved us 633,000 liters of water a day that has been treated and pumped. It was leaking that bad. We hope to continue it all next year, all the way up to the hospital. That's our project for the year, is to do the paving and the underground on that, and that will complete that stretch. At the hospital, we'd like to see everybody stay on board trying to get our MLAs and AHS and everybody else in the government going our direction, as we're on the top of the pile now, they say. So we hope to stay there and get a new hospital. I really don't have much more to say. Thank you for coming out, and I would like your votes, and I hope everybody votes.
Thank you. Moving on to candidate Jackie.
As the only candidate that has never served on the council before, I think I bring a new perspective to the table. I'm just an ordinary member of the community who cares about this town and the people in it. I do volunteer work. I no longer work anymore. I'm on disability. And I volunteer with the community through the community van, the Royal Purple, Cooking for Kindness. So I'm out there in the community and listening to all the people who have concerns and their different issues. And I just want to be their voice. And I know there's a lot of issues. For me, it's mainly, rising taxes. I know some people say, $20 a month is insignificant, but for people who are trying to keep food on the table and the lights on, every dollar counts. And there's also the issues with the seniors who, they're waiting a long time to get into the lodge and living on their own, which they shouldn't be. And people on disability as well, they need services and access to a lot of treatments and stuff that they aren't getting, and I'm one of them. I just think that I just want to be the voice of people and always keep an open mind, talk to people in the community while I'm out there volunteering, and bring things to the council so that their voices can be heard.
Thank you. Candidate Sherry.
I'm running for this municipal election because I believe in the open, honest, transparent leadership. Our community deserves clear communication about where taxpayer dollars are being spent. I am committed to ensuring that the financial decisions are made with full transparency and accountability. Our role is to listen. It's to hear the voices of our taxpayers and understand their needs, concerns, and make decisions that serve the best interests as a community as a whole, and not just a select few. It means making the tough choices. When those moments come, I will always explain why we made them and how it affects you. I want to emphasize there's no dividing line between residents and business owners. All taxpayers deserve a seat at the table when decisions are being made. Our community thrives when every voice is heard and considered. I recognize the importance of our senior community and the valuable contributions that they have made and they are making. Their needs absolutely matter, but I also believe that the decisions must reflect the diverse voices of all the residents, families, youth, and working individuals. I have no rigid platform items. I understand I come with a commitment to open dialogue, whether it's exploring new ideas or cutting unnecessary things from the budget. I believe council must be open to all possibilities. It's just as importantly, these decisions must be made in open, recorded, and accessible council meetings, because transparency isn't a promise, it's a practice. I will continue to be a blunt, honest, and open with all the public. You may not always agree with what every decision we make, but you'll always know where I stand.
Thank you. Candidate Todd.
Give this a roll. My name is Todd Dulkey. We've been in town since 2012, 2013. Business owner, raised our children here. Yeah, I was asked to run for council one more time for a third term, and I'm quite honored to. Unfortunately, Sherry stole my speech. But yeah, that's pretty much it. We're here to work for the community. That's about it. Thank you.
Candidate Todd, or sorry, that was Todd. Candidate Paul.
Well, thanks for coming out, everyone, and wish each candidate good luck in this election. I'm Paul Isaac. I'm running for Town Council in Sundre, and I'm asking that you vote for me. Having been on council presently, I am willing and ready to continue representing you as your councillor. Presently, I am the sales manager at GTI here in Sundre and Caroline, and have been for the last 4 years. I have also worked at Clear Rush Co. and Cook Fuel here in town. What brought me to Sundre area was when I became the executive director at Camp Evergreen. I moved here in April of 1994 and have lived here for 31 years. I moved here from Manitoba and started my career as a crisis counselor with emotionally disturbed children, physically, sexually neglected, abused children and their families. I started this in Toronto, then back to Winnipeg, and a bit in Brandon. I am married to Brenda. This last summer was 44 years. We have 3 married children, all living here in Alberta. We are very proud grandparents of 11 grandchildren. Both Brenda and myself have volunteered in school sports and also minor sports associations such as baseball, hockey, gymnastics, volleyball. I have been active in umpiring baseball and reffing hockey for around 30 years. For about 18 years, I've been a provincial supervisor in both Hockey Alberta and Baseball Alberta. I believe in the last couple of years, the town has made some very big steps in seeing our town have sustainability and growth. With our lagoon, everything has been approved and passed. With that, we are starting to receive calls from developers wanting to build in Sundre. With the current administration cutting red tape for developers, they are happy to look at investing their money and building here. Hopefully, this will represent a more affordable taxation cost to all residents in the future. But we are not done yet. There is still more work to do, and I'm willing to stay involved to make this happen. I will continue to listen to your concerns and questions. Mr. Sharp, please never stop talking to us. This really isn't us. With residents and councillors talking to each other and listening, it isn't us. After having been on council, I'm willing and ready to continue representing you as your councillor. Thank you.
Candidate Jamie.
Hello, my name is Jamie Marr, happily married for 20 years and the proud mom of 3. Sundre has always been close to my heart. My grandfather, Reed Chipman, taught at the high school back in the 70s, and my grandparents, Dot and Roy McCartney, were longtime custodians of this school back in the 80s and 90s. I hold a university transfer diploma in secondary education, a BA in social science. My career has been diverse. I worked in the oil and gas industry while I was in Calgary, and I was also the volunteer coordinator for Alberta's southern region with Canadian Blood Services. When I moved to Sundre, I was first employed with the fire department. I had the privilege of working under Fire Chiefs John Weitzel, Ross Clues, and Marty Butts before moving into community services where I managed facilities and community events. After retiring from the town, I did become the executive director of the Sundre Museum and have transitioned now into pharmacy. Volunteering is a really important part of my life, and I currently serve on the board of the Sundre Youth Justice Committee and the Sundre and District Cemetery. Sundre is more than a place where I live. It's where my roots, my family, and my future hopefully are. I have established already amazing connections while on council, and I know that my advocacy will elevate the voice of the Sundre residents here to the province. And I see Sundre as a place where all generations thrive. I am, as a candidate, committed, capable, and I've already proven I'm council ready. And I still have time. Intergenerational connections, holistic community health, responsible planned repair and replacement of town-owned facilities, four-season tourism, passive and active green spaces and facilities, the expansion of our memorial program, utilizing the town's GIS system, responsible growth and in the residential districts with diverse housing types, and a celebration of our community culture. Thank you.
Candidate Owen, please.
There we go. Hi, I'm Owen Peterson, and I feel very fortunate to have been raised in Sundre and to also raise my children in Sundre as well. I have a very few priorities that you will get out of me. Number one, you will get an unwavering support for Sundre Futures Committee and their aspirations for a new hospital in Sundre, and an ever-increasing level of care in our tiny town. You will also find in me a support for our policy of pristine in and pristine out when it comes to water. Sundre is right on the Bearberry Creek and the Red Deer River, and that is the lifeblood of our town and needs to be protected to the greatest of our abilities. You will also find in me someone that supports recreation a lot. And when I say recreation, I mean not just our facilities, like the arena that the town owns, our partners in recreation like the curling rink, the aquaplex, but you will also, a big part of recreation for me is our trail system, which we work with our partners at Bike and Ski Club to our paved trail system and our sidewalks. I commute on my feet a lot, and I really want a really robust trail system, sidewalks, so that we can be healthier and more active and happier people. You will also find in me that I will continue to support major infrastructure projects that we've worked on hard for the last 4 years, of making sure that the pipes in the ground are ready for growth, ready for many generations in the future. So if elected, I will continue to support our tax dollars, making sure that the pipes in the ground are fixed and ready, and the roads are slightly smoother than they are now.
Thank you. Candidate Rob.
Hello, my name's Rob Wolf, and thank you for coming out. I would like your vote to help building our future for the next generation together. My family and I have lived in Sundre for almost 20 years. I have volunteered for various organizations over the years as a way to give back to the community. I've been passionate about how I could make a difference to the town of Sundre and what I could do to help make Sundre a better place to live, to grow a family for new and current residents. So in 2017, I ran for council. I was honored to serve you for those 4 years, and that is why I have decided to run again, to have the privilege to work with you, to be part of the continued growth of our community, and to be your voice on council. During my first term, I took pride in always basing my decisions on what is best for Sundre and the people I serve. I believe the key factors in having a strong relationship with residents is being transparent, open, and honest. I feel that being on council in the past has given me the experience, strong leadership, and knowledge to make informed decisions that are needed and to be expected from your councillor. My objectives for the next 4 years would be fair taxes. I'm committed to fair and responsible taxation. With regards to service levels, I'd like to continue to improve on service levels, keeping in mind every dollar spent on services needs to be thought out with your dollars in mind. accountability, and transparency. I'm committed to being open and honest. The decisions we make today will affect our kids of tomorrow. Infrastructure, continue to invest in that, regular maintenance on our roads, sidewalks, and other town facilities with sound planning in mind. With regards to having a safe and connected community, I'd like to stay engaged with our local RCMP to provide a safe and friendly environment to raise family, to continue to enhance the trail systems for all to enjoy. And lastly, I'd like to see tourism. I'd like to see us work more collaboratively with the Chamber to promote Sundre as a destination that people want to come visit, stay, and enjoy everything they have to offer.
Thanks, Rob. Okay, that concludes the introduction portion. Let's get into some questions so that we can get you folks some answers. So, as I noted, we're going to start with the next candidate. So we are going to let candidate Jackie start with this question. Budgets are always tight. How would you balance responsible spending with investing in growth and services?
I think that every expenditure that is on the books right now should be evaluated and either eliminated or cut, so that the things that are important to the town can be paid for, and that, it's whoever the town deems as valuable and most important to the town.
Thank you. Candidate Sherry.
Balancing Sundre's budget while still investing in growth is about understanding the difference between wants and needs for both staff and the public. My approach would start with prioritizing the basic needs of maintaining essential services, infrastructure, because those are the foundation of a healthy, functioning community. At the same time, I believe planning ahead so that our budget allows for some wants. The projects and improvements that enhance quality of life and help Sundre grow, not just the bare necessities. This means setting clear priorities, looking for efficiencies, and making sure that we're not continually asking taxpayers to pay more. Instead, we should be creative in seeking grants, partnerships, and new revenue sources, and ensuring that every dollar is transparent and accountable. Ultimately, it's about finding a balance, meeting our core responsibilities, but also investing in the future of Sundre the way it's fair, sustainable, and responsive to the needs and aspirations of our community.
Candidate Todd. Can you repeat the question? I sure can. Budgets are always tight. How would you balance responsible spending with investing in growth and services?
We already do. It's why we're on cycles and 4- and 5-year plans. Current administration and previous 2 councils have done a very good job setting that up. And as new needs and wants come through from the community, that's what affects those cycles, and that's where changes will come. But it's as the community wants or as our community needs. It's currently already on the go.
Thank you. Candidate Paul.
Yeah, I almost want to echo what you said there, Todd. Budgets are always tight, and we're always asking administration to find ways of reducing. The only way we have of generating revenue is through taxes mostly, or grants. So one of the things that our administration did just a number of years ago was they did a level of service. So here's what it costs to run the town the way we are today. So now we have that cost. Now we know that. Now we know where we're going to go. If the residents want us to increase our level of service, there's a cost to it. If they want to have lower taxes, we can lower the level of service. So there's a little bit of an understanding on how to proceed with that, and so that definitely helps. With growth, there comes developer costs, and they have to put into some of the growth that happens. So there's a balancing act between developers. I see 10 seconds. Developer, and also then how do we balance those books? Again, as Todd said, with a 4-year budget, we've been coming with a surplus each year because we have spent less than what we budgeted.
Candidate Jamie.
Responsible responsible spending, it's large scale going down to small scale. We have the foresight and the planning through our development models. They're living documents, so that helps us plan now for the future. We have a level of service document. We also have a pay-for-use policy, which I think is helpful. New development will always pay for new development, so that affects the new regions, not our current town tax base, which I think is very important. Sundre is known for trying new things, and I think that makes us unique. We're always a pilot project, sometimes frustrating for people, but we're known to try new things, and I think that we should continue doing that, and I hope that we do. Grants and partnerships, absolutely. Our town administration has been amazing at providing us numbers. We budget for those numbers. They're also writing grants, and more often than not, we get the grants. Our capital planning, short-term, medium-term, and long-term, has been amazing, and I think if we continue to do what we're doing, we're going to be successful.
Thank you. Candidate Owen.
Thank you. Sorry. I think this is really just a question about taxes, and nobody likes to see big swings in taxes. We all want the level of service and the things we get from that. I like stability. I think we need to understand that Sundre is growing very quickly right now, and I think we need to understand that with that comes a little bit of cost. So I think you will find in me somebody that supports very, very minimal changes in our tax rate so that we can make it as stable as possible so that we can all budget, because we know that if you can budget, you can be financially successful. And it's going to be the responsibility of the council to just keep some stability in our town. So that's what you will find in me as a candidate.
Thank you. Candidate Rob.
Thank you. Yeah, when it comes to taxes, taxes are a hard one to work your head around. I agree with Councillor Isaac with regards to service levels. You know, when I was on council in the past, I went to this one seminar, and one of the municipal officials said, would you like breakfast in bed, or we just want breakfast at a restaurant, because breakfast in bed costs a little bit more. So it depends on what types of service levels you want. If you want the service levels reduced, yes, that will reduce your taxes. But I'd like to see, working with administration to see if we can attract any more types of business, because when you have a stronger business tax base, you will have a less burden on your personal tax base. So that's what I would like to see. Thank you.
Thank you. And Candidate Connie.
Budgets are always tough. We've got a 4-year plan in place. You want me farther away? Okay.
Feedback.
Sorry. Budgets are hard to handle at any level, and this level is quite intense because it's a large budget and you have to work on it all the time. Like Sherry said, it's a live document. It changes constantly. We're forever adjusting it, but it's got to be balanced with the service level that you want to attain with your income. You've only got so much income, and you can only spend so much.
Thank you. We will move on to question number 2, and we will start this question with candidate Sherry. How would you make sure residents are kept informed and feel heard on important town decisions, issues, and events?
I would advocate for open door sessions and listening events. Council members should host regular opportunities for the public to ask questions, share their concerns, and offer ideas. Twice per year is not enough. This builds trust and ensures that council hears directly from those affected by its decisions. Transparent decision-making. When confidential matters arise, council should explain why the privacy is necessary. I've heard all too often that council is always going into in-camera sessions, and it makes the public nervous. Feedback loops. After major decisions, council should report back on outcomes and next steps and invite feedback on what worked and what could have been improved. Ultimately, council's role is to be the bridge, not the barrier, for communication between administration and the public. By making meetings accessible, financial information clear.
Thank you, Sherry. Candidate Todd.
I don't know how to answer that. I think we already do. Being such a small town, from a council perspective, along Main Street, there's 5 of us right on Main Street in 4 blocks. Absolutely, any resident can come to any single council person and ask questions directly, and we'd be happy to respond to it. The office, for the town office, it is very inviting. Any questions, any person can call and go in there and get pretty direct answers right away. They do a great job keeping the online presence of the Sundre website and the app updated, and sometimes we could certainly do better on it, and we'll encourage administration to always do better on it. I think we already do pretty good on that, and those that don't know where we are or who we are, just ask. And yeah, most of our offices are open anytime. You can come talk to us and ask those questions.
Candidate Paul.
I think communication from council administration to residents is always a challenge. We have tried our best. I do understand that there's different levels of understanding communication. From my kids understand it different than I do, and my grandkids can work my phone better than I can, and they're like 6 years old. And so that just reminds me that there has to be always more and different ways of communicating. I get a lot of residents calling me or coming to my house and asking questions, and I think that's probably almost the best way. I don't like the social media route where misinterpretations can happen. I do believe that social media is a way of communication. However, I don't know if it's the best. I think there's multiple ways we need to communicate, and we always need to be thinking outside the box to be doing better.
Thank you. Candidate Jamie.
Yeah, so communication has been a bright, shiny star during this council season. Just a note, the MDG, Municipal Governing Act, there are stipulations when it comes to how council communicates, so there are some rules we do have to follow. We do take that into account: open houses, websites, social media, the newsletter, the mayor's message. The new digital sign at the corner of 2nd Avenue that I advocated for is now up and running. I'm super proud of that and really hope that that becomes something new. One-on-one, make us work. You hire us, we are supposed to work. So texting, messaging, calling, that's what I would hope that our residents would want to do. Outside of that, staying informed, coming to council meetings. I always get excited when I see people in our council meetings. Thank you. Candidate Owen.
Yeah, communication has been so wildly changing over the past few years. As someone who is classified as a millennial, I guess, and didn't see my first cell phone till I was in grade 12 and didn't really grow up with that, and all the wild things that have happened since in the world of communication, I think we need to continue to evolve. We also have the benefit of living in Sundre. We're in Sundre. There's 2,800 people here. You can find your counselor really easy. You can call them, you can find them on the street or in their business, and all of the information that I have seen from this last term of council is available. Sometimes you have to dig a little bit on the internet to find it on the website, but it's there, I promise you. That being said, yeah, I don't know what the future holds for how communication is going to change, especially when Google Glasses come out, but we need to adapt to that and make sure that all of us understand what's happening.
Thank you. Candidate Rob.
Yeah, communication's a tough one. You know, there's a fine line between being transparent and you know, talking about confidentiality. You know, social media, I agree that social media is the thing going forward, and I think we should be doing more, if possible, to get out there. You know, we're in a very diverse community where we have, you know, we have an older population versus the younger population. So we still need to cater to everybody when we're communicating our stuff out there for people. Yeah, sorry, that's it.
Okay. Candidate Connie.
Communication is tough. There's so many ways of getting it out there, and a lot of it is misinterpreted. Like Todd said, there's lots of us along Main Street. Stop in and see us, ask us a question. We'll get the answer for you and get back to you.
Thank you. Candidate Jackie.
I just think that everybody should be coming out and keeping all councillors accountable, coming to the meetings, talk to them, emails, everything. As Sherry said, we need to be kept accountable so that everyone can ask the questions, give their feedback, and be included in the decisions that are made for the town.
Thank you to all of our candidates for that. We will move on to the next question, and we will start with candidate Todd. The town has completed a lot of projects with very small increases to taxes and put in place a number of best practice policies and procedures. How will you ensure this practice continues? What do you think the legal role of the council member is in regard to governance and operations? Do you want me to read that again? It's a big question. Okay. The town has completed a lot of projects with very small increases to taxes and put in place a number of best practices and policies and procedures. How do you ensure that practice continues? And what do you think the legal role of a council member is, specifically with regard to governance and operations?
We only do governance, we do not do operations. That's not in our wheelhouse. We say yes or no to the project and how to fund it, not how to do it. Certain specifications are well out of our wheelhouse, and that's not what council does. As for the first part, do nothing. We're going to continue as we are, continuing with the same policies, and as changes come, then changes may need to happen to such policies, but we're going to continue being responsible with those funds, not to overspend, and not to take debentures when not needed. Yeah, no, we're doing as we should.
Thank you. Candidate Paul.
Well, one thing I think that has helped our managers with their budget lines is by putting together a 4-year budget plan. They have projects each year, and they have a budget for each year, and sometimes certain projects have to be shifted from one year to the other year, but yet they are held to the line with their final budget of 4 years. So some years something might be spent more, where the next year or one of those 4 years they have to spend less. So I think in that way we can keep administration from going over budget, which would result in higher taxes. Having a 4-year plan helps, other than just each year coming up with a different plan. So I think that will definitely, I think, benefits us.
Thank you. Candidate Jamie.
Yeah, this is a big question. The town of Sundre currently has some really amazing policies and practices in place. We learn about them during our spring and fall workshops. I think how we want to keep continuing, like doing this or getting better, is by reading the second agenda each month when we are provided a department report. That report to me is important because we get to hear from each department manager specifically on what they're working on. Areas that we see keep popping up allows us to then ask our administration what's going on. I also think that legally, as a town council, we have a legal department that we can rely on, and we utilize that typically through our CAO. So I think having an educated CAO helps us stay inside our lane and outside of the sandbox, which we're not allowed to play in.
Thank you. Candidate Owen.
Sandbox, love it. Yeah, so this, I think going back to my other comments of stability, municipal politics has the benefit of being able to be stable, whereas in other levels of government can be quite raucous, where they go crazy, as we all know. But in municipal politics, when we do these budgets, we can really create stability for the ratepayers, for all of us who are paying taxes, and that's really important to me. Not big swings up or down in taxes, but to just stick to what we do best in municipal politics, which is making sure your water is clean, making sure your waste is removed, making sure the parks and the roads and all of those really core things are maintained really well. I think this question was a low ball about how great we did on infrastructure, but anyway, stability is important.
Thank you, candidate Rob.
I think the process that is already in place, working with administration and, you know, they come to council past and present with the budgets, and they present a quarterly budget to give council a snapshot on where our finances are. So I think that's a good policy that we have currently right now, and I don't think that it's something that we should be maybe touching, maybe tweaking a little bit to see if there's anything that, you know, if we're overspending in one area, where can we make those savings in another area? So I think having those quarterly financial reports is a great help. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Connie.
We currently have policies and procedures in place to take care of most of these things, and we adhere to them and we follow them. And when, like Rob said, if they need tweaking, we can tweak them as we go, because they're all like living policies, so they can be adjusted and made better if need to be.
Thank you. Candidate Jackie.
I think that all of the new projects and things that are important to the town are very important to keep going forward. But in saying that, I mean, there's only so much money in the budget, and it should be looked at and reviewed constantly to get rid of or decrease or eliminate things that aren't as important, and so that you're always moving forward with the most important things to the town that everybody wants and needs.
Thank you. Candidate Sherry.
Can I be difficult and make you read that again?
Yeah, you can. The town has completed a lot of projects with very small increases to taxes and put in place a number of best practice policies and procedures. How will you ensure this practice continues? What do you think the legal role of a council member is, specifically with regard to governance and operations?
For the first part, the mandated multi-year budgets, as others have said, have allowed for administration to give us the snapshot of what they want to do and what we can do. And then every year, council will pass that budget. It allows for, as Todd said, the overages and the unders to balance out and make it easier to be closer to zero as possible. As for the legal aspect of the question, I have learned and I remember governance is council. Operations stay out of.
Thank you. We will move on now to our next question. And we will start with candidate Paul. How do you plan on making sure that staff compensation is fair and in line with pay offered in other communities of similar size?
How will we make it fair with other municipalities of similar size?
Of similar size, correct.
Yes. We will make it fair.
Okay.
I guess their municipal affairs puts out what municipalities are paying, what budgets are, so you can check that way. You can check with other municipalities and find out online what they're paying. And so, I mean, all those answers are right there for you. And so then there's usually a cross-reference of 2 or 3 that we'll look at, and then probably quite often go middle to low, and our administrator would know that.
Thank you. Candidate Jamie.
Yeah, I think it's important for people to realize that operating a town, a village, a hamlet, a city is different between them. But overall, we're a professional organization, and you hire professional staff. And in saying that, you need to make sure that if you're going to hire someone, you want to keep that someone. You don't want to be rehiring and retraining year after year after year. So having fair compensation is important, and I think that we do that by doing surveys. We typically run ourselves between populations similar to us, Rocky Mountain House, Three Hills, I think, for example. I believe the town operates on a grid system, and what that does is when you reach the top of the grid and you can no longer receive a rate increase, we help our staff by doing a COLA, or a cost of living expense, or a cost of living, whatever it stands for, sorry. So every year council has the ability to COLA these people who have reached their top wage, and I think it's important that we do that.
Thank you. Candidate Owen.
Question again, please.
How do you plan on making sure that staff compensation is fair and in line with pay offered in other communities of similar size?
I think it's quite evident. As an example, I think it's quite evident in the level of service when staff are not getting compensated and are not happy in their jobs. So I know we have pushed specifically our community services department, because we do things in the last 4 years, like build them a brand new outdoor rink and are like, okay, now maintain that with no extra money. Or, hey, we built this many extra trail connections, and nope, you don't get any extra money, but now you have to maintain all this. And we've stretched that department a lot, and I think it shows clearly in your level of service if you aren't compensating your staff well enough. So I think that if elected in the next term, we need to work at that to make sure that our level of service is showing up, and that is directly related to how happy the staff are and how compensated they are.
Candidate Rob.
Yeah, I agree in paying fair wages for qualifications and experience. And I think our staff are paid accordingly to other smaller communities. There has been studies done in the past to reflect that. And like Jamie said, that they are on a grid level, so they will get to a certain point where that raise does not happen, but the COLA comes into play, and council has the ability, as she said, to say yes or no. So if it's a matter of doing some, juggling or cost savings, that's always up to council. Obviously they don't like to do that because, everybody needs to have an increase, but, it depends on economic times. Things like that might have to be looked at.
Thank you. Candidate Connie.
Being fair with your staff and that, and keeping the wages level with other areas is a tough one. You've got to be checking around and know what your level of service you want. Do you need to pay them more to get the service level you want, or do you just hold them at where they are because you're happy with what you're getting? It's dollars and cents again. It's a tough one to balance.
Thank you. Candidate Jackie.
I think that everybody should be getting the fair amount according to what they're doing in their community and balanced with other communities of the same size. If you keep your employees happy, they're more likely to do a good job for you, and because you don't want employees that aren't happy and then you're paying them for not doing what they need to be doing. So keep your employees happy and they'll do well. And of course, always got to look at the budget as to what can be done, or if there needs to be cuts or more people to hire to keep the jobs done.
Thank you. Candidate Sherry.
Back in the day, we used to do wage reviews. I'd like to see that done prior to a 4-year budget cycle to ensure that our wages are competitive with other communities. It is tough because not all small communities like us have economic development people or a gas system. So it has to be done with a grain of salt because it doesn't cover all of them. But it is important to ensure that your wages are competitive because your employees have to live too. Most of them, some of them, are town residents. They have to pay the same taxes as us. So we have to keep it in mind that it doesn't make the budget go out of whack just to increase the wages for the staff.
Candidate Paul, or sorry, Todd. Why do I keep messing you two up? You're both wearing blue shirts.
I don't know how to answer this besides, I don't know, and again, partially not our job. We have one employee and only one. We oversee that employee within the town. I would say that depending on where this question is coming from, if this is meaning that from our town employees, they feel that their wages aren't equal to those of our surrounding areas, then we need to look at that through our single employee and to ensure that each of those are reviewed and a proper grid is back in place. But again, that's administration's job, not ours. And it's not our job to go policing employees' wages. What we need is those employees to be able to come forward to their managers, supervisors, the CAO, et cetera, to ensure that we are on target.
Thank you. So we will start this next question with candidate Jamie. With all of the recent changes to legislation, what is your plan for tackling the steep learning curve for your role as a municipal councillor, whether you are a new councillor or not?
I'm the first one. I like to take notes, so this is on the fly. The MGA, this document, when I was first elected, June 2021, has changed, I think, twice. Apparently, there's some more changes happening. There's no possible way that I can read through this and memorize it and understand what's going on. So preparing myself for the role as an already elected person wanting to come in again, I'm going to have to rely on our administration. There's an organizational meeting that every councillor gets when you're elected. That's going to give us all the information. Plus, you do have to do your own research. So you have to get online, you have to read the new bills, you have to ask questions. And that happens organically. As a brand new councillor, I think I can speak safely and say that the first year is a steep learning curve. You are listening and you are watching. And I think if you do that, you will be successful.
Thank you. Candidate Owen.
Reading all of the things all of the time. I remember before I was elected, long before, our previous mayor came into my place of work after a meeting and dropped like a 140-page agenda on my table and was like, that's what we just did tonight, and then I read it. But I think you just have to keep reading all of the things, and it's endless, and you don't read for fun anymore, unless you like bylaws.
Candidate Rob.
Yeah, there are a lot of programs out there that you can sign up to, and luckily a lot of them are online. And that is my intent going forward, is to do as much knowledge-based learning as I can. When I first went on council the very first time, as Jamie said, it's a huge learning curve, and it's a steep learning curve. And I wish I would have done more at that time, but I did learn a lot, just hands-on when I was on council. But my intent this time is to do as many courses. Once somebody gets elected, you have the opportunity to go to, I don't know what it's called now, it used to be called AUMA, and that is a good starting point for a new councillor to go to. But there are plenty other ones out there, and my intent is to sign up for as many as I can. Thank you.
Candidate Connie.
Yes, there is a lot of reading, and it comes all the time. Every council meeting has lots of agenda to it, so we read all the time, and you have to stay on top of everything, and it's changing all the time. I've done more reading in the past 4 years than I did, I think, in the rest of my life.
Candidate Jackie.
As a new candidate, I realize when I go in, I won't know know much of anything, but I will be having to absorb and go to every meeting there is, there's conferences, and reading everything I can get my hands on to learn as much as possible so I can do the best job I can.
Candidate Sherry.
Lucky enough that I have the foundation to be an effective counselor. And there are people that love bylaws, Owen, because I took them with me and I work on them at work every day. So I love that stuff. So there's going to be a lot to learn, but I'm ready to do it.
Thank you. Candidate Todd.
Not a whole lot, and ask ChatGTP, I guess. No, you ask somebody who knows if you don't know. That's it. I'm not quite sure what the question is asking when it references the change in the MGA. So I'm not quite sure what the ask is here.
Do you want me to repeat it?
Sure.
With all of the recent changes to legislation, what is your plan for tackling the steep learning curve of your role as a municipal councillor, whether you're a new councillor or not?
Oh, nothing. Been here 8 years. I'm good.
Okay. Candidate Paul.
Well, every year, every term, there's always new legislation, and so MGA, Municipal Affairs will contact every municipality to say these are the courses that every candidate needs to take by a certain time to help us be properly informed so that we don't get ourselves into a legal battle. I'll give you an example. When I first term, Connie Anderson calls me and says, "Hey, Paul, the town didn't get the snow by my driveway, and nobody can get in on my yard. Like, what's going on?" So I drive down there and I look, I go, "Oh." So I go down to the operations guy, I say, "Hey, there's snow in front of that business. Can't you go move that grader and clean it up?" I got pulled into the CAO's office telling them that I don't have permission to do that. I could be in a legal battle. So there are things that whether you like it or you don't like it, you can't do and you can do. And the government really allows us to learn by the different courses we take. We get a lawyer to come in and tell us all the things, and we have a code of conduct in our council as well.
Thank you. So we will move on. Candidate Owen will start this question. What do you believe is the major challenge facing the municipality in the next 4 years?
I believe our biggest challenge as this municipality is growth. I think that you don't get to control growth. You don't get to control tourism. All you can control is being ready for them by getting your infrastructure ready, getting your policies and your bylaws ready, which a lot of headway has come in the last 2-3 terms on this council. But I think that we are going to see some growth. You can see it in the numbers already in the business and building permits numbers that have been coming out. I just think last week in the newspaper, it's significant, and we need to be ready for that. And I think it's going to be a challenge that is coming.
Candidate Rob.
Our biggest challenge, I think, is the unknown. We don't know what the future holds. The only thing that we can control is what we do here in our town, in what administration will present to us in the form of a budget. So that's a pretty tough question when, yes, there's always challenges, and challenges do come up throughout these 4 years. So you face them one-on-one as they come up. And I think that's the best process to do that, is to just face it head on when they arise, because challenges are unknown. Thank you.
Candidate Connie.
Well, we've got to grow as a town to survive, and there's a book out called The Little Town That Can, and I'd like to see Sundre be the town that can. It's growth has got to come, and we've got to be ready for it. So it means getting the infrastructure in place, ready to go, and welcome the people here. The red tape has been cut out, so we're ready.
Candidate Jackie.
Yes, I think that the biggest challenge is definitely growth and where the money is going to come for the growth and the budget. But we need to have growth to grow and improve in our town and invite people in to come and join this town that I came to 4 years ago and grew to love and care about the people in the town.
Thank you. Candidate Sherry.
There's different challenges that council comes across when they're in this seat for 4 years. It depends on what your definition of a challenge is. I think the biggest challenge that facing Sundre right now is rebuilding the trust in local government. Over the past few years, we've thankfully been able to be on the path to upgrade our infrastructure, which is essential for our community's future. But the issue of trust isn't unique to Sundre. It's something we're seeing across the province and across the nation. I hope to be a part of a council that focuses on transparency, open communication, and genuine engagement in residents. By making our decision-making processes clear, listening to all voices, and following through on our commitment, we can start to rebuild that trust that's so vital for effective local government and a thriving community.
Candidate Todd.
Can you repeat the question?
Sure. What do you believe is one of the major challenges facing the municipality in the next 4 years?
So the municipality as an organization, our challenge is in order or for us to keep our current levels of service at the current cost. With all the pricing and changes that we've had in the world, everything costs a little more, and we need to do something to keep the town from having to pay for those equal services. For the municipality as a whole, the economic diversity we don't have, we've had that same challenge for 4 years, and it's going to go for another 10. We've lost businesses, trucks, industry. We don't have jobs. We don't have homes for those in Sundre. The same children don't have places to stay and live in Sundre. You have to move away. So as a whole, economically, the whole municipality, it's going to be hard. And that's the biggest challenge, is that diversity. As a municipality, it's keeping costs controlled.
Candidate Paul.
The municipality's had a huge challenge with having any growth because of our infrastructure and our lagoon system. We were very fortunate due to our CAO finding this new technology, which has now been passed and approved. We've had municipalities all across Canada calling to get in on it. What the new infrastructure undergrounds were probably one of the very first few municipalities in Canada, Western Canada for sure, that is probably, I would be guessing, I won't even say it, a lot of our infrastructure will be completed undergrounds in the next year to two, which allows our lagoon system to be at a capacity of around 7,500 people, which now we can now tell developers we're open, which they are calling. So I think the next challenge is exactly what Owen said and probably what Rob said. It's growth, but it's also unknown. How is it all going to roll out?
Candidate Jamie.
So I have two answers for this one. Of course, growth. I think that the council addressed it with the underground infrastructure project and our 10-year capital plan. We've started planning for the future, and if we keep doing that, that's going to help alleviate the birthing pains or the growth pains. I also think that the wastewater treatment plant, now that we have it, we can expand population-wise, which we wouldn't have been able to do had we kept the old system, and legally we had to change it. We've been identified, small towns like this, we've been identified by Travel Alberta as a destination place. They want experiential tourism, and so Sundre has been picked out as a place to come and tour. We're going to get more tourists here. Indigenous tourism has peaked in this province, and Sundre has a role to play, sitting on Treaty 6 and 7. and the Mountain View Regional Film has addressed that as well. So I'm excited about the growth. We don't need to be afraid about it. We've planned.
Thank you. Okay, we'll move on to our next question. We are going to take a break after this at about 7:15, but we will start with candidate Rob. What are your plans to respond when individual taxpayers raise concerns? What are your plans to respond when individual taxpayers raise concerns?
My response to individual taxpayers when they would respond is to find the answers that they're asking. You know, it may not be an answer that I would have readily available to me, but I would be reaching out to administration and getting that answer. If I can't get that answer, then I would communicate that back to them as soon as possible, and then, you know, hopefully at some point we would get the answer that they're looking for. And it might not be the answer that they're looking for in their mind, but at least it's an answer. You can't ignore a concern that a resident has. You have to respond to it. That's first and foremost.
Thank you. Candidate Connie?
Well, if a ratepayer came to me and wanted a question answered, I would do my best to find the answer for him, whether it came from me or from the CAO or from our accountant. I would find the answer for him. That's the best thing you can do for him.
Candidate Jackie?
I agree with Connie. We should be finding the answers for anyone who has a question and be open to listen to any concerns or questions that people have. And if you can't find the answer, bring it to the council and let them discuss it and get back to them with the answer that they're looking for.
Thank you. Candidate Sherry?
I would answer it if I had the answer. If I did not have the answer, the town of Sundre does actually have a very good concern form system, but not everyone likes to go on the website and fill it out. So I would do what I did last term and the term before is I have printed copies of said concern form, and I sit with them and we'd write it out exactly what they were concerned about or the questions that they were looking for, and I would take it to the office for them. Some people don't like to go and to the town office to put concerns in, so we help them. It helped a lot with the seniors.
Candidate Todd?
It depends. There's some things we help with, there's some things we can't. As everyone said, you try to find the answers, you point them into the right direction of who to talk to on it. Unfortunately, there's some complaints or some issues that we just have no control over. In that point, it's getting them to the right person and letting them know that there's certain things we can or cannot do. Unfortunately, ignoring it or giving false hope or promise doesn't work. Yeah, you have to just be honest with that same person and get them in the right way.
Candidate Paul?
Too much more to add, but I do think it's important that when residents have questions, that they contact us or they communicate if there's a problem on their street or something that's affecting another resident. There's a way the administration can deal with that. Whether they do that for them or whether we help with that, it doesn't matter. Just you guys have to just keep asking, and I'm always open, and I love those questions. Sometimes the volume is high, but I still love those questions, and I'll answer it just like Sherry said. If we have the answer, we'll answer it. If we don't, we'll find the answer. We'll get it to you. Might be not what you want, but we'll get you the answer.
Candidate Jamie?
Yeah, so when somebody comes to me, I note it and then I share it. Pretty simple. We may have the answer for you right there, but I think it's important to note the concern because maybe the answer is still not the answer. So I note it, I share it. I'm really trying to make sure that we have consistent messaging. Hearing from one counselor one thing and another counselor another thing creates chaos. So I want to make sure that I'm using the right data, the right numbers. So keeping informed. We take it to workshop. We have a big, broad discussion. we can often get our administration staff to look at the dollars and see if it's feasible, if it's something that's new. And one example of this, the concern forms, I was really pleased that the library was able to take a bunch of our concern forms and leave them at their desk. A lot of our residents use the library, and they can fill that concern out there, and our ED there takes it to the town, which is lovely.
Candidate Owen.
In my experience, when concerns come in the last 4 years when I've been on council, there's been a varying degree of of agitation, I guess. Some come in really calm, some come in quite agitated and emotional. But it's really important to listen and then try your best to find the answer. And when residents have come really, really agitated, I was always taught by my mother that no matter how loud the complaint is, there's a nugget of truth in there. And so really listening and digging to find that truth and to get the answers for them is really important and difficult sometimes.
Thank you. Okay, I think at this point in time, we are right around that 7:15 mark, so we're going to take a 10-minute break, and we will reconvene. Thank you. Hello, everyone. If any of the conversation here has generated further questions, if anybody has further questions, please make sure that you're documenting them at the writing tables. Okay, everyone. If I can get everyone to take their seats. So lucky. Yeah. Okay. Let's keep going so we can hear more from these great candidates. Make sure that I am where we're restarting. Oh, candidate Connie, we're going to start with you again. Okay, question. Real and meaningful work can only be accomplished when there is a healthy team environment and true collaboration with your fellow councillors and administration. How will you work to ensure you are contributing to creating and maintaining a true team environment to ensure a productive council and sustainable community?
That's a tough one. It's always open for dialect and lots of conversation. If we don't have that, we won't have a team environment, but we all got to work together and pull in the same direction. And it's tough at times, but when we make a decision, we all get up and walk out of that room. We're all in agreement when we leave on whatever we voted, which way we voted. It's one voice when we leave. I know, I got it away now. It's got to be unified, and just a good team spirit is easily maintained if you're all talking.
Candidate Jackie.
I agree with what Connie said. We have to all work together. I mean, I know I'm a good team player. I work as a team with the community van and all the different places that I volunteer. Everybody just has to be respectful with one another and just get along.
Candidate Sherry.
Discussion is important, no matter what the topic is. I remember I used to disagree with council, even if I believed in what they were saying, just to foster discussion, just to have them tell me why they believe so much in something. I usually end up voting with them in the end, but fostering the discussion is important, and leaving it at the table when you walk away is equally important.
Candidate Todd.
Listening, taking the time to actually hear your coworkers' opinions, reasons, being able to have the frank discussions in an open council is paramount. Sometimes people have a hard time expressing themselves inside a group when they're being recorded or when the public's there, and that can very much stifle those discussions. So I guess what will I do? Yeah, listen.
Candidate Paul.
I think it's respect each other, respecting each other. I think we need to respect you as residents. You are the ones that put the 7 people there. And so I think respecting each other is respecting you. There has to be a debate. There has to be a discussion. Not everyone will have the same idea. However, at the end of the discussion, at the end of the debate, there's a vote, and then that becomes the answer. When it's passed, then we all walk out agreeing with that. I mean, we don't have to like it, but we do have to respect each other.
Candidate Jamie.
I think I was lucky. This last term was my first term on council, and I have to say that there was a lot of collaboration and discussion with the council that we had. There were disagreements and there was debate, but we kept business at business, and then we networked. We got together socially, and I think that that helped build the family, and I would like to see that continue in this term. I think there's I think I think we should all be a little bit humble, every single one of us. We all have different backgrounds, we all have different skills. I think having some humility will go a long way in finding respect when you're working with your councillor peers, the mayor, and of course your administration. One-on-one conversations with the CAO, I think, are important. You can be very blunt and ask the hard questions, and she can help direct you in how to find those solutions as well.
Candidate Owen.
You read the question, please.
You read the question? Real and meaningful work can only be accomplished when there is a healthy team environment and true collaboration with your fellow councillors and administration. How will you work to ensure you are contributing to creating and maintaining a true team environment to ensure productive council and sustainable community?
I will work with a lot of things that have already been said, with respect for everyone that sits at the table and respect for the decisions that get made. And I will also bring, after those decisions are made, even though you're not seeing any humor here, I can bring that, and a lot of patience, because there's some really difficult decisions we got to make, and after it we have to let go of that and laugh a little bit and keep moving forward.
Candidate Rob.
Yeah, I was sitting with 7 people that have all possibly different personalities. Sometimes can be a challenge. So you got to go in, you know, like it's been said, with respect, go in with an open mind, and listen to everybody's opinions, listen to everybody's debate or what they have to say. You know, you may think one thing and it's in your mind that, you know, that's the way I want to see it, but, you know, after you hear the debate, you got to be open-minded and listen to everybody, and they may change your mind. But yeah, just being open-minded, respectful, and just listening. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll start with Jackie for this next question. What do you think about bike lanes, even just one down Center Street next year when the road is repaved?
Personally, I think bike lanes are wonderful. It keeps people safe, especially down Center Street where kids are going to school. Of course, what I think doesn't really matter. It's what everybody else in the townspeople think. It would have to be discussed, and whatever most people want is what should be done.
Candidate Sherry?
Bike lanes are important for safety of all of our bike riders. I personally probably will never use it, but I do support it. We have a lot of kids riding on Center Street to go to school when they're school. It's definitely something that we should look at.
Candidate Todd?
I don't know. No idea. A bike lane on Center Street sounds like it could be good. I don't know if it's wide enough. I don't know if we have the space for it, the usage for it. We have a lot of paved pathways, sidewalks and such. So yeah, unfortunately, I don't know. We would have to see if our infrastructure could support it and then go from there.
Candidate Paul?
In order to answer any question that has a cost to it, I guess I wouldn't really answer that until I would find out what the cost would be and what the upkeep would be, and bring that information back to the residents, so to speak, and say, is that something you want? But it's a question that's never been asked of us. Maybe after today it might be, so it might be something that we have to investigate.
Candidate Jamie?
So when I first moved back to Sundre, we didn't have a set of lights. It was a 4-way stop, and I moved here from the city of Calgary. And I followed a gentleman that didn't know how to use that 4-way stop while calling the police on my phone to let the police know that I was following an individual who didn't know how to use a 4-way stop. Bike lanes. That would be very interesting, educating our community on how a bike lane is used. I cannot tell you that I myself know the proper use. Our mental health in this community is important, and I think getting out on a bike needs to be addressed. I don't know if bike lanes are the solution to the problem, because I just don't have the information. But I would giggle at the bikers and the experiences they currently have and probably will have in the future if we had them.
Candidate Owen.
Yeah, I would, paint's cheap. I would definitely support a bike lane down Center Street. However, I would be more inclined in my ideal Sundre to be in support of a robust, well thought out paved trail system. And we already have a lot of that in Sundre, and every year for the past, well, before my term, there has been $20,000 to $50,000 a year spent on connecting our trail system together to make it more accessible for if you want to bike on it, you're pushing your stroller on it, you're walking on it, separate from the road. That would be my ideal world, but I certainly wouldn't be, I can't see why I would be opposed to a painted bike lane down Center Street. There's lots of room.
Candidate Rob.
I think first and foremost, safety of any pedestrian or cyclist is about their safety. So I wouldn't be opposed to a bike lane on Center Street. I think I would need a bit more information, feasibility, usability. So I'd need those answers first before I could make a decision, but I would definitely not be opposed to it. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Connie.
I think we'd have to investigate it more because I don't know if you have a vehicle parked on each side, if you're going to have enough room left if you put a bike lane in and take up 3 or 4 feet on one side. But if it's feasible and doable, I could go with it, but it's going to be tough, I think.
Thank you. Next question. We will ask candidate Sherry to start. You will need to make spending decisions for the community. What factors will or do you consider when determining what taxpayer money to spend where?
As I mentioned earlier, we need to first start with the needs, what the regulations are, what we have to do for our community, and then we can build on there. The savings for our future. It's important that we make sure that we can balance the needs and the wants. Wants, they come on the back burner if there's not enough money. If we have to ask for too much money from our taxpayers, then we'll want it later.
Candidate Todd. Sure. You will need to make spending decisions for the community. What factors will or do you consider when determining what taxpayer money to spend where?
Oh, there's a whole bunch there. Yeah, wants, needs, requirements, total coffers, how much we have tied up in current borrowed money, how much we have in savings, how much we have in reserves. We look at all aspects of the financials before we go ahead with a project. So I'm sorry to be so vague, but we look at everything.
Candidate Paul?
Well, I guess having a 4-year budget definitely helps us. I guess it's not an area that we deal with in the sense of the every department has a budget, and so we approve the picture of the budget, and then if there's something that's extra, I'm not really sure exactly what the question is asking. I'm having a hard time wrapping my head around that. Can you give me can you clarify that just a little bit using a phrase from my mayor without using those words? Can you rephrase it?
I think basically it's from your perspective, what are you looking at when you're considering where taxpayer money gets spent?
So every fall and spring workshop, we listen to our managers give us what they wish lists or what they need in their department on a 4-year term. So then by the time that's all balanced out, it's way above what we can spend And so then we start asking questions and we start clarifying, why do you need this? What do you need it for? So there's a lot of checks and balances before we ever allow the...
Time. Thanks, Paul. Candidate Jamie.
When I hear a budget request, I immediately separate the two. Is it a capital? If it's a capital, is there operating? So that's the first distinction. The longevity of the product. How long are we going to have it for? How long is it going to last? The cost of the maintenance. Do we need to train our staff? And do we need to hire new staff? And what about the product end-of-life recycling? So we have the product, and then when it dies, where are we going to put it? And the cost of that. So sometimes when proposals come forward and where there's debate, those are the things that are going through my mind. I also think about what we're going to have to put on the back burner. Sometimes it's something more aesthetic. I believe that the infrastructure is necessary. I like the aesthetic because we bring people here because it's a beautiful community, and sometimes that gets put on the back burner.
Candidate Owen.
Yeah, it's a big question because it's actually the entire job that a councillor and a council with the mayor does. The entire job is to take the tax money and balance it with the services that the community wants and the values that the community wants. That's it. That's the whole job description. Every bylaw, every policy, everything we do relates back to what we're doing with the taxes that are collected. So yeah, that's a big question, and the whole job is finding that balance and making sure that the residents are getting best bang for their buck for our community.
Candidate Rob.
You know, when it comes to needs and wants, you know, at Christmas you need it and you want it and you get it. When it comes to people's taxes, like Paul touched on, the managers come to administration with their needs and wants. Then council goes to the workshops, as mentioned, and we whittle down those wants and needs more into needs rather than wants. So I think going forward, this next council needs to be a bit more prudent with those needs due to the unstable future, shall I say, or the harder times that could be in front of us. It's so much uncertainty that I think we just need to be more prudent. Thank you.
Candidate Connie.
Well, I think the needs and wants is going to be there no matter what you do. We have to balance the budget and make it work within itself. We can't overspend or we're going to be in trouble, and we cannot have a deficit. So we have to make it, the needs not exceed what we can bring in for money.
Candidate Jackie.
I think that is definitely the needs and the wants, but if you're looking at how I would look at it anyway, is what does that expenditure bring to the town? And to prioritize what things need to be done first and what things can be done later. Because if you have something that's not going to benefit the town or not going to be on need of the town, then that can wait. And definitely the things that are the most important should be put first without going over the budget.
Thank you. We'll start this next question with candidate Todd. What role, if any, should the town council have in advocacy with other governments and or in partnerships with other towns?
Well, that's a complicated question, isn't it? From municipality to municipality, they all work together. They all talk together. Each council's talk, administrations talk. So that's all fine and dandy. As for the other governments, provincial and federal, not our playground. We work with the current government, provincial government, regardless of who is in power. And yeah, those don't come into play. So not at all.
Candidate Paul?
Well, we are fortunate to have our provincial member, Jason Nixon, live right here. He's a great advocate for a lot of the projects. He helped us with our lagoon system, him and Rick McIver. He is working hard with our hospital futures. So there is a place that we as a council have to be in good relationships with them and good communication with them. And when they start advocating for you, you'll start to have some wins. When it comes to other towns, we are collaboration with Mountain View County. That was mandated from the government many years ago, so that we have a committee that sits on both sides. Once every 3 months, roughly, they meet and they go over different projects or stuff that impact both municipalities. We have a fire, keep putting that 10 seconds up on me. We have an agreement also with Clearwater with our fire, and so we do work with each other. We have to.
Candidate Jamie?
Yeah, I think the role of council in partnership with other government organizations at other towns is necessary. I was very pleased to take part in 2 elected women networking groups. I got to form really great bonds with women who have been elected in other municipalities, bigger municipalities, learned a lot, have their texts, can ask questions and figure out what they're struggling with and what they're doing to help. So it helps me be a better counselor here. Our reputation, Sundre's reputation on the larger scale is important. I don't think it's feasible to send over 100 senior ladies up to the legislature to advocate for our community. We can do it here among 7 of us. We have a mid-sized mayor's caucus or meeting that happens. The mayors get together and discuss what's going on. This makes change happen. It's necessary, and I absolutely support partnerships.
Candidate Owen?
Yeah, building relationships is wildly important for a council because, well, for many reasons, but I think that it is more important for the position of the mayor. Council supports that position, and the mayor is the one who's out there pounding the pavement and advocating for Sundre. And I'm very pleased that Sundre has made the decision to have such a hardworking mayor to stick around, advocating to all levels of the government, to our neighbors, consistently, continuously building those relationships so that we can move forward in peace. We need to have strong relationships, and that is, yeah, I believe that's more of a job for the mayor to do as the spokesperson for our town with the support of council.
Candidate Rob?
I think having strong relationships with your neighboring communities is extremely important. I remember back in the day, you know, we had a rocky relationship with Mountain View County at one point, but I think I've seen that turn around over the years, which is good because they're one of our biggest partners in how they help us fund various programs that we have within Sundre for our residents. So having a strong relationship with our surrounding neighbors is very important. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Connie?
Yes, having that strong relationship with the areas around us is very important. We have reciprocal fire agreements all over the place. We go into Clearwater County, go into Bighorn, lots in the Mountain View County, and we got Olds and that comes out here if they're needed. It's just, you got to get along with your neighbors, and it works well.
Candidate Jackie?
I think that having good relations with your neighbors, the municipality and the provincial government is always going to be a good thing. Bouncing things off each other, getting help for when the ambulances aren't in town or fire department's not in town. It can always, open communication is good to get help for us to help them, but it goes both ways, help from everywhere.
Candidate Sherry?
Reword what they all just said. Yeah, collaboration on all levels of government is important. It doesn't matter if it's your neighbor or if it's someone sitting in Edmonton. The more voices you have, the better you can work together and share resources. It's important. And we need to make sure that we keep it regardless of who sits in what seat where.
Thank you. Next question. We will start with candidate Paul. I don't sense that the town people distrust the government because they see the results of previous council. But misinformation can create confusion and distrust. How would you address misinformation of how councils have governed or decisions they have made? Misinformation. How do you address misinformation?
I guess by telling the, I was going to say telling the truth. Doesn't sound good. I guess by letting them know what is really going on. I guess the only way we can do that is if you ask me. I won't address social media, whether it's incorrect or not, because again, that could be misinterpreted. So I guess if something's out there that's not correct and I know the person personally, I might choose to go there, but I think we have to be accountable to people, and I think there's a piece of that you play, and you need to come to us and say, hey, this is what I'm hearing, is this true? And then we should just be really honest and tell you. So I'm not sure what else to say to that.
Thank you. Candidate Jamie?
Thank you. Misinformation to me, it just means missing information. So in this community, in rural communities, people are passionate about what they know or what they think they know. And I don't think it does anyone a service to set them aside. I think that it is important to listen to everybody's opinion and the information that they have. And I think that if we're being responsible, we can listen appropriately and provide some information or ask questions and encourage them to find the information themselves. Nobody's going to listen to you tell them what they already believe is true. So just because I'm right doesn't mean that they're wrong. Misinformation was a hot topic word 4 or 5 years ago. It's still here. People are still sensitive to it, and I think we need to address that our community has a lot of opinions.
Thank you. Candidate Owen?
I think if this question was put towards me and I was running for a municipality that was quite large, I would have no idea how to answer. Misinformation is really difficult, especially when you're listening to people that you've never met and are far away in a millions of people's city. But we live in Sundre, and there's 2,800 proper in the town. It is not hard to find your councillor or your mayor. It is not hard to pick up the newspaper. It is not hard to pick up the phone and find your councillors, and we're in a sweet spot. So misinformation is tackled by communication, by asking the questions, and engaging in dialogue, and we can do that in Sundre quite easily. We are very, very fortunate.
Candidate Rob?
I want to go back to my beginning statement about accountability. You know, you got to be open and honest with the residents. So if there is any misinformation, and you also got to be accessible, but if there's any misinformation, you find out what they've seen, heard, read, or whatever, and you know, you look into it. It's just, you know, social media for me, you know, I like social media, and it's a good way to get messages out there, but I do agree that there is sometimes misinformation. But like I said, you just got to be open, honest, approachable, accessible, and try to find the answer for that misinformation.
Candidate Connie?
Somebody came to me talking about misinformation. I tried to find out where it came from, what it was about, and get them the proper answer, right or wrong. Get them the answer that is the correct answer and clear the air that way.
Candidate Jackie?
I think that we have to have full transparency, and people should be able to come to us for answers. I know for myself, someone had told me they asked a question to different councillors and they got 2 different answers. Or they say, I heard this from this person or that person. Come to the source, find out the true story, and don't believe things that just people tell you until you search out for the proper answer.
Candidate Sherry.
We live in a small town where misinformation can spread like wildfire. It's important, if we know there's misinformation, that we try our best to put the correct information out. But if we're doing that in the beginning and council is communicating with the public and telling them what's going on, you have less misinformation. So if you cut it off at the source and you take the time to put the information out there, then you'll have less.
Candidate Todd.
For Facebook.
Okay, we're moving on. Not quite the last question, Paul. We are going to start this one with Jamie. Council can only act by bylaw or resolution. What does that mean to you?
So I had a difficult challenge. You're not allowed to play in the sandbox. I will say this all the time. You want to do the work. I'm a worker. What needs to be done, let me go. I want to help. I want to give you the answers. I want to tell you the things. We sit as 7. We have an admin looking at us, and we have to write a policy or a bylaw that essentially allows them to work. And we debate how we think it's going to go. Our CAO, our only employee, educates us on the legalese so that we don't get in trouble. And sometimes that's challenging. We have to follow the law. So when I think about bylaws and policies, I think about debate, conversations that get loud, and sitting in a room for long periods of time, creating a mess, and admin making it look pretty at the end.
Candidate Owen.
Can you please read the question again for me?
Council can only act by bylaw or resolution. What does that mean to you?
Yeah, that means to me that that's where the rubber hits the road. Politicians are notorious for just talking and talking and talking and talking. And we do that to get ourselves to our final position of the vote and the passing of the bylaw and the passing of the policy. And every time we do that, it has a direct effect on the budget. And that is the most important. That's the thing that we do. In fact, it's so important that if we don't vote, we can be kicked out of council. It's one of those, you absolutely have to do it. We take that oath. If you don't vote, you're out. It's the rubber hit the road. It's what you want in your councillor is to make decisions.
Candidate Rob.
It's a tough question. Bylaw, there's that word law in there. So you have to follow that. Policies are a guideline to follow within the guidelines of the municipality, but a bylaw is just kind of like law to me. So, Jamie put it very eloquently, and I can't repeat it, but she did very well. So I'm going to use her words as well.
Candidate Connie.
Bylaws and policy are what we run by and what controls us and what rules we give to our employee, the CAO, to operate under. And we're constantly making new ones, more than I like sometimes, but we do have to make them, and they are useful.
Candidate Jackie.
I think what Jamie Marr said is right on the head, hit the nail on the head. We have to abide by those rules, which sometimes makes it hard for us to do certain things, but that's what our job is, to make the new bylaws and the new policies to move forward.
Candidate Sherry.
For me again, please.
Yes. Council can only act by bylaw or resolution. What does that mean to you?
It's pretty easy. Follow the law and decision of council.
Candidate Todd.
Well, along with everyone else that just made good points, I guess. Very basic, it means everything we do is a decision of council. No one of 7 has any power. We have no decision-making skills or abilities. We have no direction without a vote of council. Everything takes 7 to vote on, and once that happens, the council agrees that is the direction forward. There's no longer an individual, it is a council.
Candidate Paul.
I don't have much to add other than I was about to say, I think Jamie said it well, but I don't want to say that out loud because I sit beside her for the last 4 years and I hear her all the time. And I guess really all I'll add to it is there's a process, and everything you go, everywhere you go, there's a process and there's a procedure, and no different in being a councillor in an elected council. In effect, you have a process and a procedure that you have to follow. That's the way it is. So you have to learn it so that you follow it correctly.
Thank you. We will start the next question for candidate Owen. Sundre has excellent amenities for such a small community. As the community grows and extra amenities are added, there's greater pressure on community services, the ice rink, expanded trail networks, skate parks, etc. What would you do as a member of council to ensure sufficient funding and budget for these departments as the community grows?
Yeah, this is going to be something I would really like to work on if I'm elected again. We have built some more recreation infrastructure. We have built that outdoor pool, more connection on trails, and I think that our budget needs to be massaged in a way that community services gets the resources they need to deliver a level of service for us that I would like to see. On recreation, on our sidewalks, our trails, our sweeping, our beautiful flowers that are all over town, all of those things, the maintenance of the arena, the outdoor arena, all of these things that we really value. So I would like to massage that in the budget. And I know that, like I said before, I am not into wild swings in our tax rate, so that's a difficult challenge, and it's something I would love to tackle if elected.
Candidate Rob?
Can you repeat the question, please?
Sundre has excellent amenities for such a small community. As the community grows and extra amenities are added, there's greater pressure on community services, the ice rink, expanded trail networks, skate park, etc. Question: what do you as a member of council do to ensure sufficient funding and budget for these departments as the community grows?
First, I would look at the amenity that is being proposed, and then we would direct administration to see if there's any grant funding out there that we could utilize to help facilitate that newest amenity. Because the budgets are tight at the moment, but like Owen said, is there room to massage it and stuff like that? But I would look at other ways to see if we can generate further revenue in other areas to see if we could facilitate that. Thank you.
Candidate Connie.
I would like to see us enhance the programs that are done in these areas and the money that's put into them, and go to the county and see if we can get a little more out of them for the participants that are using it. We've got county residents using all our town facilities, and we could use more money from them. That would help us out.
Candidate Jackie?
I think the amenities are very important to the town. And as the town grows, there will be more people paying their taxes, so that will increase the budget. But I do believe that the needs are more important than the wants. If it isn't in the budget to increase these places or do things to these places, the needs have to come first.
Candidate Sherry?
We need to make sure that there's balance between community service for the town and the facilities that are supported by nonprofits. We have to ensure that prior to adding things to our community, we need to take the full look at the capital aspect, the maintenance aspect, and the operating. We have to make sure that we put the time and the effort to make sure that it's fully thought out before we decide to do it.
Candidate Todd?
This could be a very deep question in almost every department, but it all comes down to our level of service, what we've communicated with our residents, what they've communicated with us, and their wants. If they want an Olympic-sized swimming pool, I want to pay $10,000 more a year in taxes, and that's as a whole, then that's what we do when possible. Other times you say we can't do it, we can't afford it, and you have to make certain restrictions. I think specifically in your example, it's going to come down to the level of service and what the current want and ask is.
Candidate Paul?
This is a continuated question from when we were asked what is our challenges going forward, and some of the answers was growth. And so some of the times municipalities in our particular town, we've had two things that I can think of off the top of my head, two growth things. Our Aquaplex was put on by residents from our town. Our skateboard was put on by our town, but our town has now an obligation to do something to keep that going. So sometimes growth doesn't even come from the town, the growth comes from the residents, and so there is always a balancing act to make sure that taxes don't go up, budgets are met. Growth will increase costs. Hopefully there's some extra revenue there, but so it's a challenge as to how do you grow and yet not keep taking taxes. She gets me every time. I see it now that I'm looking forward.
Candidate Jamie?
Amenities means level of service, and I think when you look at that, we have to look at in-house and contract. That's something we need to consider. The user pay in our fee schedule is something that we have. We can look at that again. This council actually just passed a sponsorship policy, so that's another way that we can move forward in new forms of revenue. Growth studies and are new facilities or amenities possible or even needed. I think it's good to know the difference between a fad. Sometimes we actually in the past received money through the Sustainability Fund, and for the life of me I cannot remember what they renamed it. Government funding was, and it's no longer. So we have inherited things that we have, and we need to keep those in the good condition before we look at building new. Community feedback, open houses, I really wish they were better attended, and I would advocate to everyone, please come to the open houses.
Thank you, Jamie. Next question, we will start with candidate Rob. Many electors running for council do not understand the time commitments involved in the councillor's role. How do you ensure you're fulfilling your commitment to the electors of the municipality while still maintaining your own quality of life?
That's a good question, and it is true. You know, when I first ran, I did not realize what type of commitment that was. You know, like Owen said, that the previous mayor threw down a 140-page book in front of him and said, here, this is what we just dealt with. And that's not a lie, that is true. So the time commitment is definitely there. You know, you got your committees, you got, you know, your conferences, you got online learning if you want to do that. It is a balancing act. I still work full-time, but I am committed to working for the town of Sundre, for the residents, and I will do my best to support and to do what's best for Sundre. Thank you.
Candidate Connie.
Yeah, it's a bigger commitment than I thought it was when I started here 4 years ago. But I have now turned my business over to 2 of our kids, and I work part-time, sort of. And they run it, and they do an excellent job. I've got the time to commit, and I'm ready to work real hard for the town of Sundre, because we like it here. We plan on staying here forever.
Candidate Jackie.
I'm the only one here who has never been on council before, so yes, I don't know what the full commitment is, but I don't work anymore. I have the time. Right now I do a lot of volunteering in the community, but I have the time to put in because I moved here and I love this town. I'm convincing all my friends and relatives to move here, and I plan to stay here forever, so I'm willing to put in that time.
Candidate Sherry.
I have a full-time job, but my boss has been very supportive of my decision. I work 4 days a week. I feel bad for you, Jackie, because you don't know what it is, what you have to commit. It's a little bit of time. You can do the minimum or you can put the maximum in. It's not a regimented, you have to put in 20 hours a week. You put in what you can and you time management. It's very easy to be very good at being a counselor, but managing your time appropriately.
Candidate Todd.
No, I was not allowed to have a life, so it's all good.
Candidate Paul.
I think for each one of us, we agree to doing certain things in our lives, and it makes us busy. Some of us are busier than others. Some of us learn how to balance that. I think it's very important to balance it. The answer is different for each person. I'm quite busy in all the different areas I'm involved in my life, but I do find a balance. So I don't know what that balance is some days, but I do think that we have to have a balance, and the balance is different for each person.
Candidate Jamie.
Yeah, work-life balance. How is council position different than anyone else here? Business owners, people working in the school system and our healthcare system. The mill doesn't shut down. It runs all the time. It's a lot. I used to run a home-based business. I let that go, and I was okay with that. Supportive family. I have my husband here. And your big kids. My big kids are currently watching my little kid. Supportive business. I am pleased that I work and have worked in industries where they've been supportive of me stepping out and wiggling around. However, sometimes you can't make it work. And this is where a great council comes in. They can cover your back. So you are required to sit on committees, and sometimes you can't make it. Your alternate steps up, and I have had to send text messages an hour before a meeting sometimes, and it works. So work-life balance, we struggle like you.
Candidate Owen.
Yeah, sitting on council has proved to be a lot of work and a lot of time commitment, but it doesn't take much to look around for me to realize that that's what this town was built on. We need only look to all of the amenities that we have that we don't own as a community under our tax dollars, but we still get to enjoy, like the pool, like the museum, like our bike and ski trails, like that brand new pickleball court. All of these places, the curling rink, these are built on volunteers, and they work tirelessly. And so it's inspiring to me to just, when I get overwhelmed and too much, that to just keep going.
Thank you. So we did have scheduled a break for 8:15, but there is only one more question. So I think we will ask that question, and then we will move into the wrap-up. Everybody's okay with that? So we will start with candidate Connie. In regards to Sundre's parks, trails, and open spaces, what is something you have on your wish list? How are you going to make it a reality? And where does the funding come from?
Parks, trails, and open spaces. I like the parks, I like the trails, and I like the open spaces, but I don't have a wish list to expand them at all. It'll come up when residential, they have to supply green space with a development. Any development needs to supply a green space, so We'll get more of them as we go along.
Candidate Jackie?
I don't have a wish list on that either. I enjoy them, but I don't think they need to be expanded at the moment. There are so many other things that are so much more important. Our seniors and our people who are just trying to get by. So I think, yeah, I don't have any wish list for that.
Candidate Sherry?
Scrambling to think of a wish list idea. For years, we've been trying to make sure that our trails all connect. So I'd like to see the continuation of that, but other than that, I have no wish list other than that.
Candidate Todd?
Yeah, I honestly don't have a whole lot. One day, you know, in sometime in the near future, I would like the bigger, badder dog park, just an expansion for those facilities. And again, the trails and connections, which are important, some more paves, some more skiing. Where's the funding going to come? From a lot of different places slowly, just not from our taxpayer immediately.
Candidate Paul?
Wish list or an agenda. When I first thought of running for council, I came on board and was elected, and I did have some wish lists and agendas, and I found out quite quickly that that's probably not the right mindset to be in as a councillor, because my wish list is what you want, and so if I have an idea or something I think we need, if you don't want it, well then then I need to drop it. So I think there's a danger of sometimes a councillor getting elected having a wish list. Now I view my wish list more because I've been here for a little while. We've been fighting hard for that lagoon. That's done. I think one of the next wish lists is probably the hospital, and we're going to work hard on that one. So I know. Mr. Mayor, you need to bring this to council. The councillor beside me would probably we would all benefit from that sign. Anyways, this is probably more an Owen question, and I'm interested in hearing what he has to say.
Candidate Jamie?
Before we get to Owen, I have a wish list. Parks, trails, open spaces. I see intergenerational connections. I want to see little to educated far beyond the years that I currently hold. Holistic community health in all aspects. Here I go. Caveat, none of these are promises. These are my wish lists. You can let me know if you agree. Consistent wayfinding signage. Partnerships with local groups for events. Bring back the outdoor gym equipment, gardens, a natural selfie spot. Enough waste bins and park signage placed everywhere. A permanent dog park that is awesome. A safe and accessible water play or water access point. I do not support a splash park. However, I am creative and have some creative ideas. I want to expand the memorial program, and this is trees, benches, gardens, parks. Why not include the fire hydrants? Responsible growth. We have amazing green spaces. We can build upon what we have. We don't need to worry about more.
Time. Thank you, Jamie. Candidate Owen?
My personal wish list is to rehabilitate the scar on Snake Hill so that our kids can run on that and grow up tough. However, it's not my money, it's our money. And our money, our residents were publicly consulted extensively to write the Trails and Parks and Open Spaces Master Plan. So those answers are already in there. So that's what I would prioritize. And then when there's tons of money left over, rehabilitate the scar.
Candidate Rob?
I'd like to see the continuation of enhancing the trail systems. At the last council meeting that I attended, one of the residents came from the Bike and Ski Club, and they're looking for directional signage on the trails at the top on Snake Hill there. I would definitely support that. There needs to be more direction for the trails that we do have up there. Now, if I had a wish list, the wish list that I would want is back in the day when I was on council, we purchased land behind Mr. Dalkey's business there. And I would like to see that put back somewhere in the capital plan, where the funds are going to come from. It's going to support tourism because the goal, the wish, is to convert that into a fully recreational campground, possibly baseball diamonds and stuff like that. That's what I would like to see as my wish list. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you to everyone for all of their answers to the questions. We are now going to move into the wrap-up period. For the wrap-up, as a reminder, each candidate will have 1 minute for final comments. With the 10-second warning, candidate Paul. So for this portion, we're going to start backwards from the alphabet, and we will start with candidate Rob for final comments and wrap-up.
Yeah, thanks again for coming out, ladies and gentlemen. In just over a week, you will have the opportunity to decide who will represent you on town council. You'll have the opportunity to decide who will represent you on town council. I am running because I believe our community deserves strong leadership, leadership that listens, and leadership that will always put you first. I am committed to making sure our town grows responsibly by keeping taxes fair and transparent, by investing in infrastructure we all rely on. I believe by working together, we can attract tourism without losing the small town character that makes Sundre home. And most importantly, I am committed to you. I will always listen, I will always be accessible, and I will always make decisions with the best interests of our community in mind. On October 20th, I ask for your support and your vote. Together we can build a stronger, more welcoming town.
Thank you. Candidate Owen.
Yeah, if I am elected again to sit on council, you will get somebody who wants to continue to keep the stability going in this community. We have a fiscal framework that was introduced a couple terms ago that is doing us a lot of benefit here in this community, and you will get a candidate, or you will get a councillor who supports that framework, supports budgeting and sticking to that budget as best we can, and you will get a candidate supporting recreation a lot. So happy voting, everyone.
Candidate Jamie.
I am dedicated to being a strong and approachable voice for our residents. I need a script I can't ad-lib. I want our youth to come back and raise their families here. I want our busy parents to have passive and active spaces for their children to play and socialize. I want our older adults to connect with our youth and have opportunities to share their knowledge and celebrate our history. I want to be able to replace aging infrastructure and equipment without having to worry about financing large debt loads. I support the four-year financial framework. I support the reserves. I want to ensure that every dollar spent has been thoughtful and benefits the community as a whole. I support holistic health and advocate for strong mental, physical, and spiritual health supports. I support and celebrate intergenerational connections, community programs, and events. I support four-year tourism. I want residents to have pride in the way our community looks with beautiful and accessible downtown core, which is the cornerstone of the sustainable Sundre, which benefits all generations. As your councillor, I reflect leadership with honesty and decisions with passion.
Time. Thank you.
And a script.
Candidate Candidate Paul.
I want to be fast because I want to finish this story. Connie will identify with this story. I ump a lot of baseball, and one of the challenges I've had as an umpire is calling an infield fly. I miss it all the time. I was umping a provincial game in Sundre. Dave Larson was coaching, and there was two guys on base, infield fly, and I missed it. And the Sundre team went down by a run. Last inning, Sundre came and won. But when I missed the infield fly, Dave came out of the dugout and he said, "Ump, what? That was an infield fly." And I realized I had screwed up. I walked all the way down to third base. I looked at him square in the eye and I said, yes, I did miss it. I didn't know what to do. I turned around and walked back, hoping that he wouldn't yell at me anymore. I tell you that story because when you go to vote, I want you to vote for people that will listen to you, and we will make mistakes. I see you. And when we make mistakes, we need to hear it, and we need to say, we apologize. We need to make it right. So vote for people that will listen to you.
Time. Thank you, Paul. Candidate Todd.
Well, I kind of want to really push these 60 seconds. My name's Todd. I support all of the messages that you've heard up here. This entire council is going to be a good one, regardless of the 6 you choose. Just when you come out and vote, please vote all 6. Richard already has a shoe in, so he doesn't count. Thank you.
Candidate Sherry.
I'm running for council because Sundre is my lifelong home. I've lived here for the better part of my life, and I care deeply about its future. My previous council experience gave me the insight into the challenges that we may face and the importance of responsive and stable leadership. Professionally, I'm a corporate service manager for a nonprofit, where I've built my skills in financial management, governance, and law, tools that have helped me to improve their transparency, accountability, and their efficiencies. What sets me apart is my long-term commitment to Sundre. I want to see it grow sustainably while keeping its small-town character. I bring a collaborative, practical approach and believe council work is about building trust, listening to residents, and making sure that everyone's heard and feels valued.
Candidate Jackie.
My commitment to our town is evident through the extensive volunteer work I do across various local organizations. I will, if I'm elected, I will act on with integrity and transparency, and I promise to respectfully and attentively to all concerns brought forward by residents. Each voice matters, and I'll ensure that the diverse perspectives and worries of people are heard and considered in council decisions. When issues, ideas, or problems are raised by the community, I will act as a conduit between the public and council, bringing these matters forward so that they can receive the attention and deliberation they deserve. Above all, I will represent the interests of the people to the absolute best of my ability. This means advocating for community needs, being responsive and accessible, and striving for fair, thoughtful representation. My role is not to promise specific outcomes, but to serve as a dedicated advocate and representative who works tirelessly to reflect the collective will and concerns of those I serve.
Thank you. Candidate Connie.
I'd just like to thank everybody for coming out tonight. I want to run another term because we got some programs and that we want to finish up and we got to get some more organization going. It's been great 4 years, and I look forward to the next 4 years. Everybody come out and vote, please.
Thank you. That concludes this evening's forum. Remember, if you have other questions as you think over the next few days, please make sure that you reach out to the individual candidates that you would like to speak to before October 19th. Thank you very much to the candidates for taking out. It's not easy always to sit up here and do these things with someone saying 10 seconds and your thoughts go out of your head. But we appreciate it, and I know the community of Sundre appreciates you all. Thank you to the question vetters, Terry, Mike, Alan. Thanks to the Sundre Library, Sundre District Chamber of Commerce, Town of Sundre Administration for coordinating this forum, and thanks to all of you. Whether you joined us tonight in person or online, we certainly hope this forum has provided you with some insights into those seeking to earn your trust. October 20th will come quickly. Please exercise your democratic right to vote and make this the community you want for the next 4 years. Your voting station is here, yes, Linda? 8:30 a.m. On the 20th to 8 p.m. Thank you all and have a wonderful evening.